doing? Why are you throwing that soil away?
What do you mean? You can't reuse this. It's lost all its nutrients.
Yes, we can. We just need to revive it.
Well, how do you do that then?
Oh, come on, I'll show you. When we moved into this house, we were lucky enough to inherit a large collection of garden pots, but unfortunately there isn't much sign of plant life, just some old soil.
We brought as many pots as we could from our old house, but unfortunately not all of them survived the journey, so we'd like to use our newly inherited pot collection for some new plants. But what do we do with the old soil? Add it to the compost or throw it out?
If you have old soil sitting in containers looking lifeless and compacted, don't throw it out just yet. Today we'll show you how to revive and reuse old container soil in just a few simple steps so you can use it for another season, save yourself some money and reduce waste.
Perhaps you've got some plants in containers that haven't survived the winter, or your spring bulbs are looking tired. You want to use the pots for a beautiful summer display, but they're filled with soil that has seen better days. So why can't we reuse it as it is? What's wrong with using old soil? Well, over time the soil becomes lifeless and loses essential nutrients that the plants need to grow. This is particularly a problem in containers, and it's why we often have to fertilise pots more than our beds. The plants are relying on us for the nutrients. It can also become pretty compacted, making it harder for roots to spread out and for water to drain properly. Drainage is one of the most important things for healthy plants in containers. Without it, roots are at risk of drowning from overwatering.
The good news is that with a little love and care, you can refresh your spent soil and make it as good as new. It's really simple. The first step is to use a soil sieve to remove any unwanted bits and pieces from the old soil. Removing any dead roots or leftover plants is important because these can hold diseases or pests that might harm our new plants. If you're lucky, you might find a worm or two, and if you do, you're absolutely fine to just let him continue his business in your new soil. Worms are a gardener's best friend after all. I wouldn't go out of your way to add worms if you are using soil for containers, because it's not really the best environment for them. They need big spaces with lots of material to munch through. Next up, we're going to bring some life back into the soil. Your best friend in this case is compost.
Compost is absolutely teeming with life. It's adding about a third of the volume to the potting mix will bring all those beneficial microbes back into the soil that your plant roots will absolutely love. About a third.
Now, old soil often becomes compacted over time, making it harder for roots to grow, so it's important that we improve the soil structure. To do this, we're going to use perlite to improve the drainage and aeration and to help loosen the compacted soil.
I'll add it in then, yeah? So when you're using perlite, you just have to be a bit careful because it is very dusty and it's quite bad for your lungs. So I reckon the wind is going that way, so I reckon you should go back, Mrs. Sheffield, and I'll pour it in from over here. So perlite is just a lightweight expanded rock and is completely inert. It's often used to lighten soil mixes. You could opt for sand instead, especially if you're planning on potting up some succulents. For the best results, we found that a good ratio is about 50% old soil, 30% compost and 20% perlite. This is the perfect balance between bringing nutrients back into the soil as well as increasing drainage. If you're working with particularly compacted soil, then you can increase the compost or perlite percentage for better structure.
So the mix is perfectly fine as it is, but to take it to another level, we're going to add some slow release fertiliser to really give it the nutrients it deserves. Slow release fertilisers?
Slow release fertiliser.
Slow release fertilisers will support your plant's growth by gradually providing the nutrients at a rate that plants can use, so it's great to add to the soil at this point.
We're using blood, fish and bone, which sounds a bit more grim than it actually is, but it will provide our plants with the 3 primary nutrients: nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, as well as some beneficial micronutrients to really help the plants grow strong and healthy. If you're not too keen on using animal products in your garden, then you could use something like seaweed extract or alfalfa meal. Once you've refreshed your soil, just store it in a cool, dry place if you're not using it immediately. So we've opted to plonk ours next to our pizza oven in this spot here that's very shady with these surrounded trees. So it's nice and cool and dark. So keep it in a container with a lid or in a covered bin to prevent the pests from getting in. And when you're ready to plant, your revitalised soil will be ready to go. You don't have to use the revived soil in pots, of course. You could use it to improve your garden soil structure by digging it into your established borders.
We're using our soil straight away because we've got a few new plants that we want to fill up our pots with. So in this tall pot, I've got a couple of trailing plants. This pink one's called Calibrachoa, and then we've also got some Nepeta at the front, which will trail down. In here, I've got a scabious, and these are little purple flowers that should last until about November. And then every French garden lover's favourite plant, a geranium, and this is a geranium lilac.
If you've got a lot of spent soil lying around that you don't want to go to waste, but you're not quite ready to recycle it into new soil, then the alternative is simply just add it to your compost bin. Old soil is absolutely fine to add to the compost pile. It will break down just like the other ingredients you've added, and you'll end up with a nutrient-packed compost. You don't need to worry about diseased plants or removing pests and weeds when adding to the compost pile. Even if your pile doesn't get that hot, weeds and pests won't survive, and everything will still turn into perfect compost.
We've been busy using our refreshed soil to pot up some new plants, but a fantastic alternative to this is to use it for mulch on your garden beds. This has a ton of benefits that we go over in this video here, so make sure you watch it next and we'll see you there.